CBS Drama.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Annette Schiller says her daughter, Patsy McCraw, owes for credit card debt that was transferred to her account.
Listen, it's unfortunate, but certain things are objective facts, not subjective.
I am
Objectively, you owe your mother $4,800 for this loan that she made to you. You owe your daughter $2,400 for your half of the rent. You can't just decide to move out because you don't like her attitude.
Your Honor,
you could decide to move out, but you have to pay her.
Your Honor, the reason I moved out was because of the physical altercation.
Oh, Miss Schill, let me tell you something. You didn't like what happened. She went back and she took the note because I absolutely believe your daughter, because that's what you wrote, that you said to her, let's figure out our financial circumstance. Let's sit down calmly. She was totally expecting you to work out the financial part of it and then move on and put this behind you. But what you were doing is you were solidifying your position that she owed you the money before you told her you were leaving. You know, you're a free person. You can leave her if you want to. You have to pay your half of the rent.
And
Your Honor,
And she has no obligation with a new baby to find somebody else to move into that apartment.
No, ma'am, I did. I asked my daughter Nina to move in and take my place, which she did and is still.
When did she move in and take over your rent?
In February.
So you didn't pay December and you didn't pay January.
And
No,
she
ma'am,
took
but I
my
also-
half of December's rent. I'd given my half of December's rent to my mother to make out one check to the landlord, and my mother left with that money.
Okay, so that's 3 months' rent. $595, which is the month of December.
Correct.
Which your half she took. She doesn't deny that. And half of
January.
January.
Your
Let's
Honor,
make it an even $300.
I also paid Patsy 30% of the work that I did while she was out on maternity leave. I also helped her from there on in.
That's
Your
fine.
Honor, I have been a
I
good
just
mother,
want
and I have
to,
supported her right from the beginning, and I just like to
Miss
be
Schiller.
heard.
Good.
And
You were
that's-
heard.
I had to
appreciate
You
make
were
her
heard.
sign a
You were heard.
contract for
However,
the-
you owe her for the month of December, and you owe her for your half of the rent for January. But you still owe your mother for this consolidated loan. You
Your
don't
Honor.
owe $4,800, you owe her
The promissory
$3,905.
note was ripped in half. It was
I don't care
called
whether
even.
doesn't make any difference whether the promissory note was ripped in half. Put your hand down.
Yes, ma'am.
You told me that she lent you the money
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that you could consolidate your debt.
Yes, ma'am.
You acknowledge that. That doesn't
Yes.
have to be a note.
Your
And
Honor. I'm sorry.
And I am giving you credit for the amount of rent that you had to expend
Okay.
after she left without paying the rent
Right.
until your sister moved in.
Right.
Fine. So you owe your mother $3,905.
Okay.
Your
Pay
Honor.
her. That's all. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Always are excused. You may step out.
Tough love is not only hard for the child, but it's hard for the parent.
I believe in tough love. I don't think that this falls under that category.
Still love her and will always care about her.
I've had such up and downs with my mom that it's tough, but I'm used to it, I guess.
If you keep talking, you can work out anything.
I really don't see much of a relationship continuing for the two of us.
I do love her,
I don't have room for the stress and the drama,
and I always have and I always will.
it's just not a good situation all around.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tillis versus Fortone. Step forward.
Camilla Tillis is suing her former employee, 21-year-old Arturo Fortone, for unpaid rent and bills, as well as bail money and impound fees.
Miss Tillis, is your husband in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, the defendant both was a boarder in your home and was hired to work in your business.
That's correct.
And based upon his own statement, Mr. Forthon
Yeah, Fortone.
is a bit of a screw-up. And you hired him to work in your business to make deliveries. What kind of business do you have?
We deliver from 8 different restaurants to people's homes and offices as like an alternative to pizza. So it's a catering business.
And he was a driver.
Yes.
And he lived in your house.
Yes.
He was supposed to pay rent.
Yes.
And according to you, he didn't pay the rent he was supposed to. Your car was pulled over when he was driving for the business because he was driving drunk and it was impounded. Fees and bail fees for him. He didn't pay his rent. You finally got fed up with him. You fired him. But according to you, because he was drunk all the time and always getting into difficulty, you lost a lot of business. What's your first name?
Arturo.
Arturo says in his answer, well, he sort of told you that he was going to screw up. You should have believed him. Did you pay her rent?
Yes, ma'am. Up to the last time that I was there, I lived there like half of the month I was there, and I paid her half of the month, and then I left.
What did you pay, every 2 weeks or every month?
Yeah, like every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks I'll give her half.
When did you, Arturo, we're going to talk honest with each other.
Oh, yes.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
When did you hire him?
In May.
He was driving your car during the first instance.
My husband's
And tell me what happened. He got pulled over for DUI?
Yeah.
The car was impounded?
Yeah.
Show me your check to get the car out of impound.
That I do not have because they were very uncooperative at the impound place, but I do.
But you do have what?
I have proof of that we bailed him out, and our car was in impoundment while he was in jail. So in order for my husband to get back and forth from work, we had to get the car out of impoundment.
You got the car out of impound while he was still in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
How much was it?
$200.
Did he pay you back that money?
No.
I believe you. You have no proof that you gave her back that money, do you?
No, ma'am.
And what about his bail?
Oh, I'm sorry. The impound was $160. The bail was $200. I apologize.
Okay. What about the bail? You have proof that you paid it?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
You have proof that you paid her back?
No, actually, the way it worked, that I was in the jail, and I had my money in my account, and I had my credit card in my wallet. So I told one of the CEOs for there to get my wallet so I could bail myself out. And he was like, well, even though you can do that, you're not going to be able to bond yourself out. Somebody has to sign for you outside of the jail.
Right.
So she didn't have the money to bail me out because she said she was broke.
Just a minute. She posted the bail.
She signed the papers, but
Right.
she did not pay it. I paid it out of my pocket.
Well, when did you give it back to her?
That's the thing. She didn't pay it the cash. The jail handed her the money to go bail me out. Like, it was a transaction between the jail and me. And she was just like the middleman that had to sign
You
the
gave her
paper.
your credit card?
No. The jail swiped the credit card, and they gave her the cash.
I don't
And
even know
she
where the
went.
jail is.
That's how I got out. I told the
Then
jail
you should
to
have
swipe my card.
Then
and
you should have the bill from your credit card that says that $200 was withdrawn on November 11th, 2006. Where is that?
I don't have it, ma'am.
Well, where'd you think you were coming today? That's your evidence.
Kind of forgot it. Kind of not.
All right. What else do you think he owes you for?
He owes us $500 for December's rent. He did pay $200 of January's rent, so he owes me $300 for January's rent. And one of our biggest accounts is the Courtyard Marriott at the airport. I have a history of all of our orders at the Marriott.
I know. Let me cut you off there, Ms.
Yes.
Tillis. One of the things that you're suing him for, which you cannot recoup, is you claim that because he turned out to be a less than stellar employee, you lost business.
Yes.
You don't get paid for that.
But he's not an employee. He's an independent contractor, and he signed a contract.
That may be. You still don't get paid for that.
Okay.
What else?
An additional $80 a month in utilities that we only received $20 of one time from May
What
to-
else? You're talking nonsense to me.
Okay. Those
He
are...
owes you $360 for his bail and for the impound fees on your car.
Correct.
That's what he owes you for.
Correct. $500 for December's rent,
No.
$200 for January.
No. He owes you $160 for one thing, $200 for another. That's his bail and the impound fees that were directly caused by his actions. And you, as you say, floated him December's rent. I read your complaint. That's what he owes you, $360. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
May I say something else, Your Honor?
Sure.
He sat there at our Thanksgiving we are in his lives, how many times we helped him. He doesn't get that his feelings don't define his character, that it's his actions that define his character. He doesn't realize the effect he has on everybody else. We tried to help him so many times.
There are people who are screw-ups in this world, madam.
He has a 6-year-old son. He's not saying that I tried to help him find.
Miss
and
Tillis,
he said he just made his peace
there
with
are
it.
people who will never get it.
May I just explain one more thing? I was on bed rest because I was 8 months pregnant. So my husband had to be in the house with me, so he couldn't drive the orders. So when he drove down our
There is
sidewalk...
no cause of action for someone who is either an employee of yours, and he was clearly an employee of yours because that's what he was doing. He was making deliveries. And the fact that you made him an independent contractor for the purposes of insurance does not sway me one way or another. He was making deliveries for you, for your business. That's what he was doing, and he was doing it on a regular basis. And if he was a drunk and kept getting himself into trouble, and if you kept him on at least twice, because he got pulled over once, you kept him on until he trashed his own car.
I just felt he
until
deserved a second
trashed
chance.
Until he trashed his own car. You don't get paid for the business that you lost because you made an error in judgment by hiring him. That's not a cause of action. You don't get that. You do get $360, which was his bail, which I don't believe he paid, and the impound fees, which he caused by driving while he was drunk. Got it?
But he,
Yes, ma'am.
may I say one last thing? He also moved out without giving me any notice whatsoever.
Goodbye, Ms. Tillis.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
He owes you $360.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I love Judge Judy, so she knows the law better than I do, so I always think she's fair. I'm a big fan of hers.
Well, I thought it was pretty fair, you know. I didn't owe her that much money, and I don't owe her nothing at all, to my point.
I actually had more faith in him than he had in himself, but, I mean, you can tell by how eloquent he was that I was wrong.
I know myself, and I wanted her to know that. And I didn't tell her screw up. I used a better description for it, you know?
He obviously just doesn't care about anybody but himself. Or anybody on the road that he might hit when he's completely wasted.
I told her right off the bat, for at least 2-3 months, she insisted for me to go work for her, and I told her the same thing. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And that's why I got the free month rent.
I said to my sister, I don't think he's going to pay us back, and she was like, duh.